Hi everyone! So it's been a while since the last video update about RDAS, and I just wanted to show everyone what has been done and changed since then. So just to give a bit of a summary, 2 days ago in the pouring rain I was out field testing the latest version of RDAS, and it was actually working to the extent where it could work with the hardware that I'm using. So that was just amazing, just to see that yes, this could be feasible if I just change a few things and keep testing it to see what works and what doesn't work. It was very exciting. And I also reached out to a bunch of other makers about their own ideas for how RDAS could be used to impact humanity and what the various modules could be. So I'll be creating a video compilation of all of those responses as well, and it's very cool to see the variety of the replies, but also the similarities. Alright, so with that said, let's check out the actual robots behind me. So first up is this new RDAS module, a locomotion module specifically, and you can see it has changed a bit since the previous revision. The newest addition is obviously it's now a longer robot, so it's going off of the basis of a 2U CubeSat. However, this dimension standard isn't really met because the wheels extend far beyond the frame. There are ways of being able to fix this. I tried a few of them at first, but in order to actually test it out in the field, I decided to go with mounting these rigidly. There is now a laser cut plow on the front. A previous attempt used a piece of cloth draped between this and this. It would be a decent idea to try out a composite for this, and perhaps in the future I will do that. And there are also these teardrop shapes which help support the weight of the robot on all these 4 points, so when it's moving around then it won't tip over. And of course there are also better ways of solving that problem as well. So let's see it in action. What it will do is start its motors up, full blast. Oops. Oh no. Oh no. I just ripped up the traces of this as I was trying to push the FTDI cable in. Okay, so 15 minutes later and it's now fixed, so I guess that was kind of easy, but of course now it isn't disconnectable by a simple wire. Anyway, ideally this should be fixed into either running a new board of these two with the various fixes, or just a better fix for it, which would have been done if, you know, not rushing. So in that case the balance weighs towards aiming for excellence in your design, not short-term solutions. Alright, anyway, let's power this thing on and I can show you it running. So that's basically what it's like with the motors at full speed. It goes a lot faster here on the lab bench because there's no gravel or rocks or anything like that to deal with. The funny part here is that it's obviously trying to plow away the part that broke. So you can see how that works. These types of wheels, so wheels with spikes on the ends, what ended up happening is this wouldn't work because it didn't grab in well enough to be able to propel the robot forwards. I tried putting the motors onto hinges that would look like this, so that it could fold up. However, even with elastic bands between these 2 points, it didn't have enough tension to keep it pulled down like this when there were bigger obstacles than when it was on the gravel. Here are some of the laser cut pieces of that robot. This was going to be the top piece, but then I realized for the rails I made a mistake and forgot to include the size for the 3D printed rails to fit on, so laser cut these ones, and this will then become the new and improved base. And for the top, I was imagining a construction sort of like this, where the sides would be attached to the top for this part, and then you would lift this off and everything else would deploy also, like this would also fold up. Now for the plow, I also tried to have a flexible hinge on it. However, I had issues with it dragging on the ground too much and getting caught on the little stones, so ended up going back to a rigid design where it's only flexible at this point. In the future, I would really love to add on a winch to the plow, or perhaps another mechanism to make it retractable, and so that way this whole part will be able to fold over on top of this. I also had the idea, since I had a spare chassis now, because I switched this one to a different size, a 2U, to create one of the first sensory modules. And so this one is a prototype with no intelligence, but essentially an iPhone 4 sits in this right here, and its camera is sort of pointing so that way it's looking out into the field. Eventually this will be mounted on a pan-tilt mechanism. And now, last but not least, is I finally prototyped one of the how it could possibly connect together. So on these two side panels is mounted a piece with embedded magnets. So I did 2 3D prints, printed the first one, hot glued in the magnet, and printed the second one on top of it. And so these things can't escape, which is great. They are small neodymium magnets, but of course very strong. So that snaps like that, and then that also snaps like that. I was imagining it may be better to have it so that maybe the magnets could be embedded into a flexible piece for each side, and then have a little servo able to like flex up or flex down the flexible piece, and then they'll be able to link up like that. And of course have the magnets be stronger or multiple magnets for a stronger connection, so that way the mechanical connection will remain intact. Here's essentially a first glimpse at what the automated system could be. You have the locomotion module and a sensory module attached to it. Something cool that I found on one of the field tests for RDAS was this neat little shell. So there's a lot more prototyping ahead for the RDAS project, but it's getting a lot more closer to the idea that I have in my head, and it's really exciting to see other people becoming interested in it as well. Eventually, as the design and the programming libraries and everything, and also the electronic boards become more solidified, then a beta test will be open for anyone to try out, or maybe just a few people, or anyone, I'm not sure yet. Still debating. Leave a comment below what you think if you want to become a beta tester eventually. So to find out more about the RDAS project, you can see a project page on hackaday.io, link in the description. Also the initial development on the my Fab Academy page, and I'll be adding more onto that as I begin the Fab Academy thesis. And also live updates through the Perplexed Nimbus Twitter account. And if you can, it would be great if you could become a backer of this project on Patreon so that I can keep prototyping the robot. For example, I'm almost out of filaments, so I'll need new filaments soon, so any help towards that would be great.